I think what people don't realize is like healing is truly just getting to know yourself, because when you know yourself, everyone else's opinions are much smaller. But I think healing is this thing that I often think we use the word a lot. I think I like the word alignment a little bit more, because this is who I am. This is what lights me up. These are my thoughts. These are their thoughts. After reading that book, I had so much more compassion for myself, recognizing that now I understand. So now I can make the appropriate changes to get better, rather than just thinking that was my life. And I love chaos, because that's just not real. Once it clicked, yeah, you can't go back. This idea of, oh, I'm healed. I'm not. I still get triggered. I still have moments of, well, that's not a nice thought. Like, you still have those moments. Who I was to who I am, it almost feels like I started a completely new life.
You are now listening to the Lifelong Learning Defined podcast with your host, Jorge Valenzuela.
This is education coach Jorge Valenzuela. Welcome to the Lifelong Learning Defined podcast, where I provide all educators, whether instructional leaders or teachers, tips on how to be their best both personally and professionally. Now let's get into it. My name is Dr. Jorge Valenzuela, and welcome to the Lifelong Learning Defined podcast. We're here today with my new friend, Alexa Nejamie. Alexa is a spiritual healer, a transformative coach, and someone I really admire on social media. For the audience, I was introduced to Alexa by my good friend, Michelle Moore. Big shout out to Michelle.
Great human.
Yes, she is. And Alexa is on a healing journey, and she's also on a mission to help others heal as well. I've been on a healing journey myself, and notice that many of you listening are too. So I know this episode is going to be a good one. It's going to be fire. Alexa, how are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you doing in this new year?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm feeling not overly optimistic, not pessimistic. I'm feeling real.
Amazing. A nice little balance.
That's it.
Yeah.
Alexa, I've taken a deep dive into your work, especially on TikTok and on Instagram. And I would have to say you're very concise, sweet, and to the point. I really appreciate that, because I'm the type of person that I need the information. I don't need everything in between. And I can tell you're working a lot with other people. As you're supporting other people right now in your coaching, in spirituality, wellness, what's the biggest theme or themes that you see people struggling with right now?
A lot of people are trying to achieve alignment. It's really challenging. What I've noticed when I talk to people and when they ask me questions about any topic, a lot of it is like, how'd you get to where you are? Because I'm trying to feel alignment in my body. I'm trying to do the things that make me feel good and find my passion. And I think that's what everyone is seeking, is just how to feel good with who they are and accept where they're at. That was my thing for years, just figuring out what felt good, because I just never did. I never felt good. I was always anxious, constantly spiraling, constantly living in chaos.
That is so hard to believe.
Yeah, no, it's hard for me sometimes to look back, because that person almost doesn't feel recognizable to myself.
Wow.
I look back at versions of myself. I'm often thrown off by certain decisions and certain things that I did. It's just not who I am right now. It wouldn't have even crossed my mind as who I am today. And I think that's what everyone's just craving, is this sense of safety and security within themselves, because I think we seek it so much in everyone else. And I did for a long time. I was like, I want to feel safe with somebody. I didn't even know really what that meant until I created it in myself. And I was like, wow. Okay.
So
that makes sense.
So many things that I want to say and that I want to ask you for the audience. Healing is a big part of my story. I haven't really talked about it a lot. As an educator, as a professional coach, I'm realizing that a lot of people haven't healed. And that is stunting them, right? It's stunting them in their work. I don't think that I'm an expert in helping other people heal. I feel like I have healed myself or I'm on the journey. I've done a really, really good job over the past 15 years. However, because we want to help other people and we're seeing that a lot of people are struggling right now, that's the reason why I invited first Michelle. And since that went extremely well and we got a lot of great feedback, I said, you know what? Every other episode, let's make it about healing, but let's bring in an expert. I'm going to have this conversation with you and I'm going to say where I think people go wrong, but I want you to help me fill in my knowledge gaps. Okay.
Okay.
I do see a lot of people say they want to be in alignment. And I think social media is tricking people into believing that they can just speak it into existence or make a vision board. But in reality, what I have found is being consistent in little things each day is what first gave me confidence that I can overcome certain things or I can learn certain things. And then after a while, I was just healed or I was doing better. When you said the person you were, you can't even imagine that. Like I tell my friends all the time, listen, the guy you used to know, I killed that guy a long time ago. And
Yeah.
even the guy from last month, I'm a new person right now. Am I looking at
Yeah.
that wrong?
I don't think there's a right or wrong way. I'm no expert. I will
Mhm.
say that I am a big lead by example. So I'm going to
Mm.
just continue to do different things and try different things. And if it works or resonates with somebody, I'm so glad that I shared it and was able to bring that to the table. I agree that social media is not real. And I think often it's like if you meditate or you journal or you get 15 minutes, there's like these giant morning routines that everyone says to do that all of a sudden you're healed and it's the most incredible thing. A lot of those things work. And there are some of those things I do. There are a lot of
Mm.
things that I do in my morning that help me. And there's a lot of things I do at night that help with my nervous system regulation. The biggest thing that started my healing was being honest with myself about
Mm.
the things that I was responsible for.
Wow.
Some of the things I needed to get inside my brain in a way that was observing the thoughts that were occurring because there were so many voices in my head that were not mine and were causing me a lot of stress.
Wow.
I will say this until the day I lay to rest. I read a book called Positive Intelligence.
Mm.
That changed my life. That was the start of my journey because the book broke down the different negative voices in her head. They're called saboteurs. And my life coach had recommended it to me at a time where I was absolutely spiraling. I had hit my point of just pure chaos. And he said to me, "It's time for you to read this book." It was incredibly rude, the book, because it told you about yourself. And I remember I read the first chapter and I said, I texted him. I was like, this feels like a personal attack. And I don't know that I have the capacity. And he was like, great, keep reading it. It's working. The reality is, that's the truth is you have to be so real and honest with yourself
Mm.
because there are so many things that are yours to own. And it becomes incredibly freeing when you do that. You can just go, okay, I messed up here. Or I choose these kinds of men for these kinds of reasons because of
Mhm.
these feelings. And you just go down the list of the things, right?
Right, right,
Which
right,
means
right.
I just made a video about this, which is actually going to drop in like a couple days. But when you recognize the pattern, you can break the pattern.
Mm.
In order to recognize the pattern, you have to sit with yourself. You have to acknowledge the things that are yours to own in order for you to then change them. And making those kinds of adjustments in your everyday, they started to trickle into my career, into my romance, into my friendships. And I started to notice when my brain went quiet because I controlled the thoughts, because now I understood where they were coming from and whose they were, that started to go quiet. And I remember it was like 2 months into this journey. I was reading the book, it was really intense. I was applying the things it was teaching me. And I remember I was sitting on my couch and I took a breath and I started to cry. And I couldn't figure out why I was crying. And I realized that was the first time I'd actually felt peace. I realized I
Wow.
hadn't had anxiety in multiple days. I just started to change little habits which often are the ones that you have to change where, the ones that no one's paying attention to. They're the things that only you are there to hold yourself accountable for. You're going to have a positive thought and a negative thought. Which one are you going to give more attention to? I used to give the negative more attention. Therefore, I complained a lot more. I had anxiety about things that I didn't need to have anxiety about because it wasn't necessary. I was creating scenarios and situations that I didn't know were going to exist and didn't really make any sense. And I think when you start to become an observer of your thoughts rather than the observer, which is like deciding if you have the thought, like, I'm a bad friend, I'm just going to go, okay, that's an interesting thought. What's happening around you that's making that come into your brain? And I don't own it because I know I'm not a bad friend.
Right.
So I
Right.
have to figure out what made me feel that way. People often ask me too, like, do you ever get jealous? I think it's another way of controlling your thoughts in the sense of I don't get jealous and I don't act on jealousy. If I see something and it makes my nervous system tick, I don't outwardly express it. I reflect and go, why did that make me feel insecure? And then I figure out, do I want what that person has? Are they traveling and I want to travel? So therefore I'm feeling insecure about the fact that I'm not. Okay, let's adjust. How do you get that? I'm not going to want what you know what I'm saying?
Right.
I think what people don't realize is like healing is truly just getting to know yourself. Because when you know yourself, everyone else's opinions are much smaller. They hold a lot less weight because you're just like, yeah, that's not how I feel about myself. So that's cool that you feel that way about me. And I acknowledge that in whatever capacity. If an apology is owed, great. If it's not. But I think healing is this thing that I often think we use the word a lot. I think I like the word alignment a little bit more because this is who I am. This is what lights me up. These are my thoughts. These are their thoughts. After reading that book, I had so much more compassion for myself, recognizing that now I understand. So now I can make the appropriate changes to get better rather than just thinking that was my life. And I love chaos because that's just not real. Once it clicked, yeah, you can't go back. This idea of, oh, I'm healed. I'm not. I still get triggered. I still have moments of, well, that's not a nice thought. Like you still have those moments. Who I was to who I am, it almost feels like I started a completely new life.
If you're watching this on YouTube or listening on Spotify or iTunes, please hit the subscribe button. Please hit the like button and share this episode with your family, friends, and colleagues who are interested in self-improvement through lifelong learning. And now for a word from one of our sponsors.
We had the pleasure of listening to George this morning on project-based learning, and he shared his story that his aunt encouraged him to go into education. And she was absolutely right. He is so talented at sharing information in a way that's easy to digest and is inspiring to go back and actually implement and make change.
So my takeaway is that Mr. Valenzuela was very inspiring. He was very motivational and helped me to think about a new way of getting my teachers excited.
When I set out to do a workshop, my key deliverable is energy. And this momentum is used to make connections, inspire, educate, and ultimately transform the audience so that they're compelled to take that same energy back to their schools and communities. And although we have fun, we tackle the hard topics of today, like educational policy, pedagogy for improving curriculum and instruction, and empowering today's students by connecting our work to the needs of the workforce. So please consider Lifelong Learning Defined for your next keynote, workshop, or conference, and overall instructional and educational coaching needs. My name is George, and I hope to connect with you soon.
We would love to have him come and do some work with us and help us be a little more successful and help our students to be more successful.
It almost feels like I started a completely new life.
I have two follow-up questions to everything you just said. And I think it's important for the audience to hear you say this. How old were you when you first felt peace?
I was 27.
Wow. everyone listening out there, anyone watching this, Alexa has just told a lot of us what we needed to hear. Just because you haven't had peace and self-love or love in your life, it doesn't mean that it's not attainable. But
Yeah.
from what I'm hearing is we have to learn how to observe our emotions and what people say. Instead of internalizing everything, just observe it and agree or disagree, not own it. And even our own trauma, observe it and ask ourselves why. And the answer is there. The second thing, you talked about being real with oneself.
Mhm.
And I think a lot of people do not understand that. When you're
Yeah.
coaching someone and that person has agreed for you to give them feedback and coaching, how do you help them with that? Like, make believe that I'm one of those people. How would you help me be real with myself when I've been fake my entire life?
When I'm talking to my friends and we're communicating about things that they're navigating,
Mm-hmm.
I often relay back to them what they've already said to me so that they hear it in a different voice.
Wow.
I've found often that helps because, like, if somebody says to me, like, I went on a date with the guy and he's just like every other guy that I've ever been with and I don't like it. And I'm like, okay, what don't you like about him? And then they'll tell me. And what's interesting is, for myself included, I did a lot of blaming of others. It was like that person treated me poorly and that person did that to me. And shame on them if they did it one time. Shame on me for the second through 45 that I allowed it to happen.
Mm-hmm.
There comes a level of, why are you tolerating that behavior?
Mm.
When it comes to being real with yourself, it's really scary and it hurts. It hurts. But there's a lot of shame in certain things that we've done. And there was a time where I felt shame and I was disappointed in myself for decisions I made. And then once I started to acknowledge why I did those things, made the changes to ensure that I never did those things again, and I made different choices. Because when you know better, you do better is the hope.
Right. The hope.
Right. That's the goal.
That's the
Whether
goal.
you do it or
Right.
not is
Right.
up to you. When I'm communicating with people and I'm sharing my stories and I'm being asked questions like, why do my friends do this? And why do I feel this way about this job? And I can only ever speak from experience or in honesty. People talk a lot about having trust issues. I don't know if
Right.
you ever see this a lot. Like, that's a common theme, is I have trust issues. And I get that. People have also hurt me and have
Mm.
caused me to be, I'm very hypervigilant. I don't have as many trust issues now as a 30-year-old almost as I did in my 20s, because I trust myself now. I didn't
Mm.
trust myself then.
Right.
So
Right.
I asked them a question about, they went on a date. I just don't trust anybody. I said, oh, okay. So you don't trust yourself. Got it. Just say that. And they said to me, well, what do you mean by that? I said, you don't know this person. So how can you determine that you don't trust this person when they haven't even allowed themselves the space or time to prove right or wrong?
Right. Right.
Yeah. The reality of that is you don't trust yourself to make the right decisions. And that was huge for me in my journey, because I made a lot of decisions that I thought, why did I make that decision? Oh, when I started to align myself, there was a battle of like, I don't want to pick anybody because I haven't picked the right before, or I don't want to take this job because I didn't pick the right one before. It really comes down to your trust in yourself. And that's where that realness comes in, of like, do you trust yourself? Do you feel safe with yourself to make the right decisions? Do you, when it's quiet and no one else's voice is talking, who's speaking to you and what is it saying? Because we all have the answers. We
Mm.
all have them within ourselves.
Mm.
You just have to stop to hear it.
When I was younger, not much younger, but I'm going back 15 years when I started this journey, being honest with myself was the first step. It was my first step as well. And it was the most painful thing possible, because I had to admit to myself that I was selfish. In being selfish, I caused pain to other people that I really care about. So I didn't mean to hurt them, but I was being selfish. And I knew I was being selfish. I just didn't know what the consequence was. And for anyone out there, when you have made mistakes and you've done wrong, here's the thing a lot of people don't realize the wrongdoer is not only wronging another person, they're wronging themselves at the same time. So the consequence of that mistake, that error, whatever you did, is going to come back. Think of it this way. If you throw flowers in the air, flowers fall on your head. If you throw rocks and boulders in the air, that's what's coming back down too. That accountability and that realness is going to be painful, but you have to feel it to heal it. Anyone that's ever overcome a traumatic experience really has overcome it, whether it's emotional pain or psychological pain. They already know that. They will tell you that. You have to feel it to heal it. If you're watching this on YouTube or listening on Spotify or iTunes, please hit the subscribe button. Please hit the like button and share this episode with your family, friends, and colleagues who are interested in self-improvement through lifelong learning. Alexa, in your work, you talk about being vulnerable, but only with a small group of people. And I super agree with that. How did you learn the difference between healthy vulnerability and oversharing?
There was a time I was definitely an oversharer, and I would feel pretty terrible after. I would spiral into oblivion.
Why did I do that?
Yeah. What I found to be really interesting about that is once I started to evolve differently, I lost friends.
Yeah, me too.
My alignment, didn't align with them. It made people uncomfortable because I think when you change and when you grow, it mirrors to others what they're not doing. Even though I didn't heal for them to do that, I think naturally it just happens, right? Like if you're a big drinker and that's how you and your friend hang out and all of a sudden you stop drinking, they're going to be like, "What? I don't have a problem." And you're like, "I didn't say you had a problem. I said I have a problem." It mirrors what you're reflecting. What I noticed about my friendships in particular when that started to happen was that when I would share, I paid attention to the way that my body would feel after. If I wasn't overthinking everything I said, if I wasn't having this weird ticking feeling in my gut, then I knew what I had shared with that person and who it was, I felt good about. I was like, okay, I feel good at that. That wasn't oversharing.
Right.
I honestly don't even look at it like oversharing anymore, because if I'm sharing something with you,
you're being real.
Yeah,
you're being real, right.
I'm allowing you to have that information. The way that I've established those boundaries is people that I used to feel certain ways about sharing things with, I don't anymore. You just stop. Then the people that make me feel really safe, like you said earlier, is a very small group of people. I know when I walk away, they're not judging me. They're not making my business isn't going to be everywhere. I'm very strategic about what I share when I share it and who I share it with. And then there's only a handful of people that I would call on a good day and call on a bad day. You just have to really, again, it goes back to understanding your body. And when your body always tells you when somebody's not good for you, when something's not good for you, when you have to make a decision, your body tells you. I feel strongly in the sense of if you stop and you listen to what it's trying to explain, you can probably cut like 3 people out of your life right now. If you stopped and looked at how you feel when you're after you hang out with those people. And it's nothing against them. It's just the evolution of life and growing differently.
I know that in society, we don't say this, but there's a hierarchy and people don't think about it, but they follow the hierarchy. I have learned through research and just learning that I'm a Sigma male. And Sigma meaning I'm an introverted person when I need to be, but I'm extroverted when I need to be. And I'm a deep thinker. I am in tune with my emotions, feelings. I'm a kind person and I'm a nice person. But once I got to learn myself and learn other people, there's the alpha male. I don't know if you believe in that, but I do. There's alpha, either male or female. And the thing that the research shows that's very consistent in these people, they're very loud. They like being in charge. They don't like being disagreed with. They like being talked up. They like being respected. They like to own the room. And the thing is, when you're a person like us, that is a deep thinker, that is very reflective, you don't give those people that, nor are you trying to impress them. Now, in my younger days, I would look up to that. So I would try, and it never felt right afterwards, especially with certain friends. And now when I see that type, that person that just won't stop talking, has to show off, has to let everybody know that they're in the room, I just avoid these people. I avoid these people because I know that my personality and who I am and how I show up is going to be a lot for this person because they know I'm not impressed.
I find that really interesting because it goes to that confidence is quiet, insecurity is loud.
Right.
There was a lot of time through college and stuff, a lot of people would say, like, oh, you're so confident. And I look back now and I'm like, oh, yeah, of course I looked that way. Because to your point, being a very alpha masculine person, I think that was just naturally what came. That's just like what happened. But I think because I'm such an observer of the world, because I'm fascinated by humans, I really am. I think that I have such a passion for understanding people, being able to communicate efficiently and effectively with anyone, and having really solid, compassionate relationships is important to me. I think to your point, I can always spot when somebody is authentically themselves and when somebody is not. Because you and I have been not, and then ourselves, right? So it's like, there's a lot of times where I recognize who somebody is because of who I was, if that makes sense.
No, it makes total sense.
And so instead of judging them, because that would have been my first reaction, because I would have been similar. So I would have judged them because I was still in that space. Whereas now when I see it, I have an understanding, and I'm like, oh, you'll outgrow this. Like
Hopefully.
You'll hopefully, again, everything is with optimism at the forefront.
I know guys who are 60, 65, and they're still the same
me
way.
too.
And I'm just like, what's going on?
Like, kindness goes a long way. And that changed a lot for me. As I always tell people, I'm not nice. I'm kind.
There you go.
Niceness is where my people pleasing, because I'm a recovering people pleaser, that screwed me a lot. I'm kind because I'm intentional. I will do things for you. I will support you, but I will not sacrifice my health, my wellness, my energy. You're getting what I'm allowing you to have at the capacity that I have it, and I'll communicate that. But I'm also very quick to recognize when somebody's genuine and when they're not.
One of the things that I try to do, just to protect myself and to not waste my time with people, I live between two worlds, warm and assertive. So naturally, I'm warm and I'm a nice guy, naturally. But being a nice guy, like you said, it doesn't work. Not with everyone. I tell my children, be nice to people who are nice to you. But to the rest, just be assertive. Be warm in general with people that you can tell that they need you to be warm. They're warm themselves, but be assertive with the rest. When I go out, one of the things that I'll do is I'll always pay attention to how my wife feels. So if someone makes her uncomfortable, I nip the disrespect immediately. I don't do it in a way where that person feels like, now we have to fight. No, I make my presence felt. Hey, how are you? That's my wife. How are you feeling? Are you good? Okay. Anything you want to say? I do it in a way where it's not confrontational, but it's matter of fact. And in that moment, they are thinking about it.
Yeah.
Immediately. I'll even know if I can do that or not. Because if you see like 20 of them and you're visiting, right? Like you're from out of town, then you know you don't want to do that. But if you're like in your hometown or you're in a place where you see the guy solo, you know that you have to do that. I'm from New York. And eye contact, it's a big no-no. What I do is this. I'm never going to look away first, but I'm going to tip my glass to let that person know that
you're a New Yorker, all right.
You know what I'm saying? Anyway, that's what I try to do. Yeah. It's a lot of people out there that they just don't have these social skills. I don't know. It's because of the phone. I don't know what's going on, but these are things that I've had to learn how to navigate, and I practice these things. So when I get
Yeah.
into the real life situation, I've already been there before.
Yeah. I think there's a lot to be said about, I'm big on, I'd rather be respected than liked.
Yeah, me
And I
too.
didn't realize that I was always trying to be liked. I was really somebody who, and this was a time in my life, but it was like, I was such a people pleaser, yet I had such a hard exterior that I came off like my shit didn't stink. And it does. Everyone's does. Everyone has their thing. And I think that's just the reality. I am very assertive and I'm very mission oriented. If I'm at work, I'm just focused. I've got to get to where I'm going. I got to do what I'm doing. But if you need my attention, you have it. If something's not right, I'm there for you. I can turn on the certain things based on the person standing in front of me. I don't have small talk with everybody. I don't think that that's necessary.
I don't do small talk.
Even when I'm performing, when we perform in front of a live audience, I will sit down and I will talk to people before, after, and in between the show. And I'm not asking them what their favorite color is. I'm asking where they came from and what their childhood trauma is. And I somehow make it into the show. And connection with people is so powerful when you take the time to do that and you're intentional with it. And I read something that was so powerful. How do you make the second conversation your first in an argument?
Wow.
Let me explain.
Wow.
And I've used this with my friends, and my God, every time there's been a disagreement between me and my friends, we've made the second conversation the first. And I swear the intimacy it's taken up a level each time. Because when you have an argument with your partner or your friends, it blows up. You say a bunch of stuff, right? You're really, really angry. And then the second conversation comes where I didn't mean what I said. This is why I feel the way that I feel. This is what happened. It's how do I get to the point where the second conversation becomes my first? I've been practicing that for a while with people I work with, my business partner, my friends. And it's like, it's as simple as I said something and my friend said something back to me. And instead of reacting to what they said, I recognized that what I said didn't resonate. They heard something different. There's a moment where you can choose different. And I've chosen to say,
wow,
what am I missing? What did you just hear me say? Or being able to say, like, I'm sorry I reacted that way. I'm feeling frustrated from something that happened at work and you happen to be in the line of fire. When you recognize that if me and my partner are fighting, I might not be talking to my partner and who's not mad at me. I might be talking to my partner who just had an argument with his father and got a call from his job that something was happening. And now me, being the person he's most comfortable with, just exploded on me. And now I don't find that out till the second conversation.
wow.
So something in this journey that was so powerful is just the difference. You just learn to have grace. You have grace for yourself and you have grace for the person you're in conflict with. And there's no right or wrong. It's you and me against a problem. What's our solution? And I think that's in any relationship can save big time.
What a perfect way to end this show. Alexa, let's put this up to God. Some people say the universe. I say God. How can people follow you?
You'll be able to access me through my social medias. But any questions, any type of information that somebody would like to seek from me, they can go to my Minutes of Positivity page or my personal page, which is just my name, Alexa Nejamie.
That's it for this episode. Until next time, this is the Lifelong Learning Defined podcast.
Whether you're a teacher or administrator, you lead by walking alongside your students and your staff. You teach them what to do, you model for them. Let's say you're in a situation where you don't know what to do and you bring in a coach or a resource, you learn alongside them. Okay? Does that make sense? Okay. Now, the second thing is this. Give your people feedback, not pushback. Whoever you push back on, whether physically or verbally, they're going to do it right back immediately. And if they're intimidated by our position, our status, they're going to do it behind our backs and ruin our programs. My guy. I want to leave you on this note. Trajectories can be changed. When I was in 10th grade, here's a snapshot of who I was in 10th grade. There's a rapper named Rakim. I'm not sure if you guys know about Rakim, but he used to say, it's not where you're from, it's where you at. And I played that on my headphones at 16 years old every day until I believed it. And I'm showing you this because I'm seeing versions of this throughout American schools. This is your reality of what you have to face. If I can do it, any kid can do it, but they have to work hard. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Lifelong Learning Defined podcast with Jorge Valenzuela.